دي كان تقرير مجد الكيلاني عن عطلة البرلمان. الآن نرحب بضيفنا دانيال كاوczynski نائب محافظ مقاطعة شروزبري رئيس مجموعة البرلمان الصداقة العربية. Welcome, Daniel. Welcome back. We haven't seen you in almost 9 months, you see. And we always make, we don't get called a guest twice, but you were so popular last time.
Well, it's lovely to be here again.
We had the VT about the summer recess and what sort of MP is doing during the summer. So because people think you're actually going there to be on the beach or something. There's work to do during the summer. What are you going to do during the summer?
Well, in the recess, you go back to your constituency, and that is the time which affords you the greatest ability to interact with your constituents. So you will go to a lot of fetes, church fetes, village fetes.
A lot of summer activities in the countryside where you actually present
agricultural shows. I'm represent a very agricultural area. So you're part of the community, and you make yourself available for people to be able to engage with you and lobby you.
Speaking now on lobbying, and the negotiations started with the EU, and we have to actually mention that Prime Minister lost the majority. You guys lost the majority there. Is it to do with this? See this cartoon here? Where the...
Yes, well, that's a fascinating story because...
See, I was just explaining to the viewer, the students here say, as you were going to wake up. I said, no, we don't need to wake up. We've been voting electronically.
This is a fascinating story because we lost a number of seats because of the student vote.
They voted twice and 3 times.
Yes. Canterbury was a famous case in point.
I was speaking to the young teacher who became an MP yesterday. She's clueless, but she's a lovely girl. We'll invite her.
Yeah, well, we'll do, and I'll ask her that question. But look, no, this is a serious issue because if I think we lost the majority by less than 1,000 votes.
I know. Throughout the whole
of the country.
Yeah.
And if it can be proved, as is the allegation, that people voted sometimes 2, 3, or 4 times, then I think the law will have to be changed as to protect the integrity of the voting system.
Which happened here in Tower Hamlet. On the actual negotiations there, with obviously the BBC and the left-wing media said that David Davis had no papers in front of him and the others have. But David Davis was telling me, well, we don't want the cameras to see what's there.
My experience of David Davis, and I've known him now for over 14 years, is that he is a very smart negotiator. He will have spent hundreds of hours being briefed by his officials. I'm not interested in the size of the file in front of him.
Content.
I'm interested in the negotiating position that he will outline to our European partners in conjunction with his civil servants. And I have to say to you, we are very, very, militant is the wrong word, but we are very...
We're standing firm.
We're standing firm. I think you're far more diplomatic. We're standing firm.
Yes.
This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to create a sensible relationship with the European Union, and we will not accept anything which puts our country at a disadvantage following Brexit.
Quite right. On the issue, because the Prime Minister has been pushing actually for quite some time now, and the European Union is dragging their feet on the human issue, on people, actually citizens of the EU here and our citizens there. We have seen the Cambridges, and Prince William and his wife. Great welcome in your country of origin in Poland. Polish is the second language now in Britain with the society. Can actually Britain do a separate deal with Poland because of the dependency between the immigrants between the 2 countries?
I don't think in the short term they can, because the European Union will...
We'll start to sabotage it.
Well, the European Union will insist upon a collective negotiation. But long term, I think the opportunities for us to engage with Poland of a profound nature, given the huge historic links that we have with one another. But let me say to you, the most important thing is we will not be the only country to pull out of the European Union. During the course of our lifetimes, there will be others who will see what life is like outside the political straitjacket of the European Union.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there will be opportunities for us to engage with those countries on the bilateral basis in the future as well.
I think that would be probably the best way to go for it, actually. Now we go for a short break. والآن نأخذ استراحة قصيرة نعود بعدها إليكم. Very good. الصحافة اللي انتم شايفينها بقى دي بتمثل الرأي العام في حالة استياء شديد. يعني مثلا هنا ايه ده كان لعيب كورة وبقى بيعلق على البي بي سي. بياخد كام ده؟ بياخد تقريبا 1,3/4 مليون جنيه. وده واحد بيقدم بروجرام كله تهريج بياخد ايه 900,000. ده بياخد 2.5 مليون جنيه. 700,000 ده 600,000. دي يعني اما تكون انت اجرة الممرضة. وبعدين اللي يضايقهم هنا كمان ان ايه الاثنين بيعملوا نفس الحاجة او بياخدوا ايه الفرق كبير. دي كلها فلوس بتاعت اللي بيدفعها الرخصة. مفيش صفحة جورنان الا مش مهاجمهم. اثنين بيقدموا نفس البروجرام. هي واحدة ست بيدوها ايه ربع مرتب الراجل. دي طبعا حالة ايه بتعمل نوع من الاستياء الشديد وبتشكل يعني ضغوط كبيرة جدا على البي بي سي. فهل يا ترى البي بي سي هتنصاع للأمر؟ هم بيقولوا إن هم حيحاولوا يعدلوا الأجور. الجارديان يا سارية مش مزعلها الأجور، مزعلها إن الستات بياخدوا أقل. المهم إحنا هنناقش الموضوع ده مع ضيفنا. You probably guessed I've been saying to the viewers about the BBC not only discrepancy but this huge sort of amount they get. Do you think if it wasn't for you in the MP as MP, all of the MPs pressurizing the BBC, would the BBC have actually come up with being transparent like that?
No, because I think the BBC is a very closed organisation, very concerned about these massive salaries, over £1 billion they spend on wages. And, you know, many of us have actually talked for many years about the lack of transparency by the BBC, lack of accountability. We are concerned about its impartiality as well. And the whole concept of the BBC, it's mushroomed into this sort of huge, giant monster, if I may say so, which is almost unaccountable.
You see, for example, you work very long hours, you get staff in your office. How much is your salary? Is it
£73,000.
And from which you actually pay other sort of expenses in the constituents, because you can only get expenses in London.
Well, no. I mean, people think that we get big expenses. The expenses actually go to our members of staff who we hire to help and to running of the offices and all of that. My salary is about £73,000, but I spend about £15,000 a year of my own money in paying for things which we don't have an allowance for.
Yes, yeah.
So it's not actually, if you've come from business, going into politics is a big pay cut. But I don't mind that.
Because you're accountable. You know, we elect you every 4 years or 5 years.
I don't mind that. I don't mind that because that's a choice that I've made. But these people,
I know.
when they are being paid for by the license fee with taxpayers' money, it's completely unacceptable and out of control. So I very much hope that the BBC will now be forced to make changes.
But I tell you, see, as a journalist here, I mean, take a program, for example, like Today program, which don't have 600,000 pounds. Okay.
Yeah.
Granted, he gets up early and all of that. But they say, oh, well, if we don't pay them, they'll go somewhere else. But there's no other program like that. It's actually a monopoly of the BBC. Where would they go? Because this is one program, or certain programs, you can only see or watch on the BBC. So the competition doesn't even exist.
Well, I have to say also, not only are the wages excessive, but I think many people who are on very low fixed incomes, who are forced to pay
the BBC.
The BBC.
£146 a year.
And there are millions of people in this country for whom £146
It's quite a lot,
is a significant
That's for our
amount.
viewers about $190.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, senior citizens, I think it's over the age of 70,
75.
75.
I'm not there yet.
Well-
I'm still paying the license.
Well, but luckily, over 75, you get it free. But anybody else who's on the very low income, I think they will be shocked and deeply saddened that so much of their money goes to these
I don't know if it's actually ready to play the clip from Doctor Who. Okay.
Right.
You know, Doctor Who has been going on now for 50 years.
Right,
Okay.
yes.
Which is supposed to be a doctor, scientist from the 50s. It's always been played by a man. Now the BBC made a woman playing it because of political correctness.
Yes.
Okay. Which in fact really ruins the whole thing. But leaving that aside, the BBC lecturing us about equality. But if you see here, the women in the BBC are getting, this is the highest paid woman, 450,000. Well, the highest paid man is 2.5 million. Where is the equality?
Well, this is the worst, and this makes my blood boil, because whereas the government and many companies in the private sector are determined to drive through equality of pay for men and women, and huge strides have been made, the BBC that sells itself as a paragon of virtue has probably some of the largest discrepancies in pay between men and women. So I think it smells of hypocrisy, at the very least.
Yes, unfortunately. And in fact, actually criticize the BBC, the government, when it doesn't have enough female ministers. Let's see the last item. وختاما جرت لأول مرة من نوعها محاكمة ضد 4 من كونستبلات بوليس من قطاع جنوب يوكشر لاختراقهم الخصوصية واستخدام المال العام في أغراض خبيثة. الحكاية أنهم استخدموا هليكوبتر البوليس اللي المفروض أنها بتتابع المجرمين وتحافظ على الأمن في أغراض مش ولا بد. يعني واحدة بعد ما خدت دش في الحر وحطت كل هدومها في الغسيل بتنشف نفسها في الشمس أو على السطوح فاكرة محدش شايفها وهي عريانة بلبوس. يوم بكاميرا الهليكوبتر يصوروا ولا المسكينة ويفضحوها. واحد تاني قاعد في البلكونه مفيش بيت حواليه خالص مفيش حد شايفه بيروق نفسه مع الهانم مراته ويروحوا متكسسين عليهم ومصورينهم. الغريب ان الشاويش في المحكمه بيدافع عن نفسه ويقول اصل الراجل ده صاحبي وانا بهزر معاه. طبعا الكلام ده ما دخلش على القاضي وهيروحوا فيه 60 داهيه. Just the last item, I don't know if you have actually read it, in South Yorkshire Police, there is a court case. The police helicopter was actually flying there and spying on people. In the middle of nowhere, someone actually sunbathing naked. And the police is actually photographing that. And the other one sitting with his wife, you know. And so when the policeman defending himself and goes, so how come you, the camera, and the man and his wife, and he said, well, he's my friend.
Well, worse than that, of course, are the drones. And the police very recently have talked about their determination to purchase and utilize more drones for policing. I can understand, on the one hand, it's important for them to be able to scrutinize a crime. But clearly, we will be very concerned in Parliament if these drones are being used to infringe people's privacy.
What are you going to do about it as MPs, as politicians? Is someone actually going to start working on that, a bill in Parliament or something?
Oh yes, there's a big debate at the moment in Parliament about how we regulate the use and the spread of drones. I mean, you know that we have had problems with drones being used to ship drugs into
that's right,
prisons.
into prisons, yes.
You are now talking about a naked couple being
photographed
from a helicopter. But a drone, and as technology is progressing, becomes quieter and quieter.
Yeah.
If we don't regulate these drones, they will pervade every aspect of our lives, and that's something which I and others want to prevent from happening.
Why don't you present the private member's
Well,
bill? I'm going to call it Daniel's drone bill, DDB. How about that? That'll be answer to the
good
BBC.
suggestion.
Well, I think probably we will wish you. What are you? We know we're going to do for a holiday, but you're going to take a real break.
I'm taking a real break. I'm taking my daughter to our favorite Polish seaside resort.
That's near the Russian border.
Next to the Russian border. And we're going to have 2 weeks of no internet, no Wi-Fi, just father and daughter playing on the beach.
Shall we send a drone to protect you just in case the Russians start spying on you?
No. I might text you a photo.
Oh, you do take me a photo. Daniel, thank you very,
Thank
very
you
much
very
for coming.
much.
That was
Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
هذا كل ما عندنا ونشوف